Matt here on another edition of Ask Ron. Ron, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm actually just finished my new book coming out called Lessons Learned. Look forward in the future.
I look forward to reading it. All right. Well, we have a few questions today, so let's go ahead and jump right on into it.
Okay.
The first one we have is from Omar, who's up in Canada, Calgary area.
Calgary. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been there. In fact, I think it was 2008 I was there last. Biggest boot camp we ever did.
Really?
Yeah, 460 people in it, if you can imagine.
Nice.
Huge.
Take a trip back up there.
Yeah, maybe.
It is a little nippy. All right. Omar says, Ron, I have a 0 down deal on a townhouse in Edmonton, Alberta. Seller mentioned that one of the condo board members is currently being sued for some financial fraud within the management. Hence, that's why they haven't been able to list the property with any agents. How can these types of lawsuits affect our terms deal?
Well, I don't have any idea why they can't list them with agents, to be honest with you, just because some board members getting sued. That doesn't make any sense to me. But I don't see how it affects your terms deals at all. Honestly, I don't see how it affects you. It sounds to me like it's a good time for you to go in there and buy them with owner financing because they can't list them. Buy them all if you can. But I'm serious. You're going to use an agreement for sale up there. But you got to close with a real estate attorney. They'll have the documents. You don't have to worry about that. You just need to get it under contract. You do need to get copies of the association docs to find out if you can put a tenant buyer in there or not, because some of them don't allow you to rent them, but they can't stop you from buying it with owner financing and sell it with owner financing if it comes to that. I would think they've probably got enough internal problems right now. They don't care.
Yeah,
wouldn't stop me from buying it.
In there.
Would not stop me from buying it. Remember, you're not going to personally guarantee that debt. You're going to probably buy it in you don't have land trust up there, so you're probably going to buy it in an LLC.
That's right. All right. Omar has 2 more questions. The next one being, is there a due diligence checklist available for Gold Club members for buying with terms on townhomes or condos?
Not that I know, but there's only really 2 things you got to do differently when you're buying townhomes and condos. And one is you got to make sure the association, there's nothing in there to prevent you from putting a tenant in it. That's one thing, because many of them do. And the other thing is you got to watch those dues. Sometimes those association dues kill the whole deal. They're so high. So, you ask that to the seller first, but the association docs, frankly, you're not going to want to read them when you get them. I mean, I doubt you can stay awake long enough to read them, but you need to at least scan them or have your attorney scan them to see if there's anything in there that scares you. And I would not hesitate to ask that seller the same question. Is there anything in your association docs that I'm not going to like when I read them? What are your restrictions? I want to know what their restrictions are. Sometimes they're pretty darn tight.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Omar's last question is, when we buy with terms, what happens if there is a claim against the seller's original insurance policy? Does it affect the seller at all?
When you buy with terms, the seller's policy is dead the day you take title. And some people think that because the seller's got a policy on that covers them. Not true. If the insurance company finds out that seller's deeded that property to you, that policy is void. I mean, so you got to make sure you get a non-owner occupied policy on the property the day you buy it, which is actually cheaper than their policy. And then you see if your insurance company can cancel their policy. If not, then the seller has to cancel the policy and make sure the bank is notified that the underlying policy is canceled and the new one will take place. They're not going to cancel that policy till yours is already sent to the bank, but the bank's not going to cancel the policy. They're going to pay both of them until somebody tells them differently. And you don't want that, because that's going to raise your escrow payment the following year. And I see that happen quite a bit. So you got to get insurance. The seller's insurance is worthless to you.
Got it. All right. That answers Omar's question. All right. Our last question of the week is from Phil, who's in Ohio. Phil says,
Hey, Phil.
I send out direct mail through Real Flow to find motivated sellers. I am strictly interested in pretty houses that I can buy using terms. I focus on houses over 250,000 in excellent school districts. Real Flow allows me to mail to specific categories such as absentee owners, low equity, underwater, etc. Given my focus on high-end homes and excellent school districts, which categories would you recommend that I mail to?
Well, you're going to get the best results in the lower end houses, to be honest. If you think about it, more financial problems exist with the lower end homeowners, and a lot more of them are under pressure to sell than the higher end homeowners. There's deals in both, but I think I would mail to whatever your medium price home is there in Ohio. I don't know, because they vary big time in Ohio. Find out what the medium price house is, and maybe go look, target properties are maybe 50% higher than that at the most, and the ones that are lower than that. Work on the lower priced houses first, see if you can get better results, and then you can experiment with the different lists for the other properties. But out of town vacant owners is always a good list. You're going to have a lot of foreclosures coming. They're up 180 some odd percent already this year over last year. But you want the pre-foreclosure. You don't want to get them at the steps. You want the pre-foreclosure. In fact, last time I looked in Ohio, they got 30 days to close after they've dropped the hammer at the courthouse steps. That drives a thunderous herd of people to the auction to bid on the property. They got 30 days to raise the money. Unlike here in Florida, you got to raise the money the day you buy the thing, or you're not going to get it. So you want them pre-foreclosure, because that's where you're going to get your terms deals. Just take over their mortgage and make up their payments. And get plenty of equity in the property. And again, more of that's going to happen on the lower end. So I would absolutely develop a system to mail to people that are in foreclosure, but not been foreclosed on yet. Vacant owners, vacant out of town owners is a good list, and landlords. Mail to landlords. Think about it. They're already taking monthly payments. No big deal for them to just do it on terms, receive some kind of an income without having to do any work. They are good targets as well. And then I got a lot of my people that are actually calling wholesalers. In other words, the people that are advertising houses for sale cheap, and the people that put up signs, all the people that put out the signs, they're looking for deals that they can wholesale for the most part. Call the wholesalers, because there's deals there as well. Just about all my really big players are actually doing that right now. And once you get one to send you a deal, now that one knows where to send the deal the next time, and so forth. So it's just a matter of getting them cheap enough to where you'd want to buy them. And many times you can with the wholesaler. So that alone is enough to keep you going. But we got a whole list of this wide of other things you can do to buy leads. And my most successful people are buying leads as well. And the good news is that when you buy the leads where the sellers contacted you, which is the kind you're buying, then they get one deal out of 10 calls on the average. So leads are more expensive, anywhere from $50 to $300 a lead, but do the math, multiply that times 10, and it's irrelevant based on the amount of money you're going to get from the non-refundable deposit or whatever your exit strategy is. So I think we've come to the point in our time where we have to spend money to get leads, quality leads, seller calling us. Now the market is turning, and it's turning much quicker than I predicted. You all know that I've been predicting it's going to turn for a long time. Well, it's turning. It's not tumbling overnight like it did in 2008, but the houses that were being sold are slowing way down. The values are not going up as much as they were, and some areas not going up at all. And in fact, I heard something on the TV the other day where the average home price has come down $100,000 in the last 2 months. I don't know what that means. I don't know where they get their numbers, but that's just what I heard. But it is an indication that the home prices are not only not going up further, but they're actually starting to come down a little. I think because of the interest rates going up, a lot of people are not going to be buying houses that will want to. And you add that to the inflation. My goodness, the inflation that's going on right now is sucking up 25 to 40% of people's paychecks. And most people don't even realize this. They say, they don't understand that 25 to 40% of their paycheck is going to the things that they buy, just from the difference between what they were a year ago and what they are now. That's a lot of money. That's like you having to pay 25% income tax on your income because people have to buy stuff to live. So if you add that to the higher interest rates, common sense tells me the market's going to slow down. The other only counter thing to that is that you got a serious housing shortage in the country. And so is that going to override the market conditions? It doesn't look like it's going to. Looks like we're already in a recession, whatever that means. But how it's affecting home prices and home sales, I don't know. But I don't care, to be honest with you, because I preach and I preach and I preach and I preach. Get out there and learn this business. Get out there and learn how to buy and sell houses without using your money or credit, and go buy the hell out of them, as long as you don't guarantee debt. Because if you don't guarantee debt, you are recession proof. You don't need to worry about it. In fact, you should hope for a recession, because when the recession comes, and it's coming, sellers are going to be a lot more motivated, and buyers are always motivated because you're the one that's letting them in without qualifying at a bank. You can imagine what's going to happen when the market gets tough again, and it will. I'm telling you, when it was, I had no problem at all putting people in houses with lease options, even when the market was as tough as it's going to get. So it's going to come back to that. So if I were you, I'd get out there and get prepared, get your ducks in a row, get your education behind you, get your system up and running, and then you can perfect it as you go. Now is the time to do that. Don't sit around and wait until the market changes and then all these deals go by that you're not going to get. So anyway, get your education. Trust me, if you don't get trained to do this business, it's going to cost you 20 times more not to than it does to get the training. Common sense should tell you that. Any business got to go get the knowledge of how it works from behind the scenes, from people that are qualified to give you that knowledge, regardless of what you're doing. I see restaurants dropping like flies out there right now. I mean, they're closing all over the place. And I can understand why. The fellow who bought my restaurant, I had dinner with him the other night, and his food cost alone is up 37% more than it was this time last year. I don't know how the hell he stays in business. Actually, he's writing a check every month to support the restaurant, just like I was doing when I owned it. And he can afford it. Trust me, he can afford it just to keep the restaurant open. But honestly, I don't know why, because that's not going to change. It's always going to be tough for him to make money at the restaurant. And I see him closing. I mean, we lost, you don't even know this, Matt, but we'd lost 4 barbecue restaurants here last week alone that closed.
Really?
4 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, that I was reading about. And that's just the barbecue restaurants. I don't know about the rest. So the conditions right now just make it tough for people to do business. And when it's tough for people to do business, the economy is going to start sliding, for crying out loud. And to be honest, as long as we have a democratic regime, that's not going to change. In fact, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And that's assuming that we can stay out of war and stay alive long enough to experience the way things are going. But anyway, now's the time for you to get prepared. Take care of your house, and you won't have to worry about what's going on in the White House. I don't know what started that diatribe, but I got going, and I couldn't stop.
I wasn't going to stop there. It was a good one.
All right. You got any more questions?
No, I think that's all she wrote for today.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys next week, same time, same channel. To get your questions in here. That wasn't very many questions. When you got more than that, just tell them how to put their questions in on their site.
All you got to do is send your questions to ask@ronlegrand.com.
All right. Where do they go on their homepage? What do they punch?
On the homepage in the Gold Club, you go to forums. That's the middle category there. And then you click that and you select Ask Ron, and then you just type away. And
that's a good. We should tell them that every time, because a lot of people don't. I wouldn't have known to go to forums to ask the questions. I wouldn't have. So if you guys get your questions in here, because if you don't, I don't have anything to do this time every single week, and you got to keep me busy. I might start decaying if you don't start getting some questions in here. All right. Anyway, see you next week, same time. And get out there and get to work. We're running out of year here already. Gosh, Labor Day's coming up quick. Next thing you know, it'll be Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, and then another New Year's, for crying out loud. So what's going to change if you don't make it change right now? Good time. If not now, when? Tough question. If not now, when? Maybe I'll see you at the got a virtual boot camp in a couple of weeks, but I've got a live one in Las Vegas. coming up in September. What a great time to go to Vegas and write it all off, huh? Because you can. Come see me in Vegas, live event. We're gonna have a great event out there. And in fact, we even got dinner built back in now to the boot camp. So as times change, we change with them. So go get signed up. We got some great deals going on right now. We got financing available for you. And frankly, I know if you're a Gold Club member, you want to make money buying and selling real estate, or you wouldn't be a Gold Club member. So what are you going to do to change that? By the way, if you've been to the boot camp, it's only $500 to return if you pass your first year. And if you're in your first year, it's nothing to return. You just got to sign up, and that goes for you and your spouse or your child. So come on back. In fact, if you've been already, Vegas is a good place for you to go get refreshed and get a kickstart for the rest of this year, preparing for next year, which who knows what's going to happen. By the way, I heard yesterday that they're already trying to pick on our IRAs. They're going to change the rules for the IRAs, and they're going to tax them over a certain amount that's in them. And I mean, God, it just kills me, the stuff that they're trying to do. Anybody that creates revenue or runs a business or makes money in this country, they're trying to pick on, and I don't get it. Those are the people they ought to be supporting. They create the economy, for crying out loud. But here we are. So we got to deal with it until things change again. Best way to deal with it, go out and make a bunch of money. You won't have time to worry about it. All right. Are we done, or am I going to keep ranting on here?
No, we'll see you guys next week.
All right. See you next week.